Nice t-shirt, bro.
Yours is pretty classy too.
It's like, what, this here?
Yes, yes.
All
100%
this,
certified.
100% certified. It's I got mine exclusively from Camp.
Oh, you can't misfit?
Can only get it from Camp Misfit. But don't tell the normies because it's for cool kids only.
Deal.
There's
I'll
no
keep it a
hang on,
secret.
it actually ties into the episode. There's no point in being popular if everyone's included. You know what I mean? So fuck all the normies. Misfits and Camp Misfit get exclusive merch. And on that note, welcome to season 3. Roll those credits. From Sydney, Australia, all the way to Portland, USA, two misfits hang out after class to riff on the B-sides of professional life. These are your Professional Misfits. All the way from Sydney, Australia, I am your host, Christopher Sellers.
And from Portland, Oregon, I'm Brody Ipox.
And we are your Professional Misfits, back for season 3. Brody, it's been so long.
Well, I mean, we plan these things out so we get a little bit of a break in between seasons.
So obviously you've been down to Aspen, you've taken the kids away for their summer break, you've done Disneyland, all that sort
completely.
of solopreneur, entrepreneurial shit.
Absolutely.
And
you've redesigned a website and started a photo book and
clothing brands.
I'm on the right track, right?
Absolutely. We're all there. But welcome back, Misfits. Welcome back, Misfits, for season 3, and thanks for joining us. So to give you the skinny on season 3, it's a big level up for us. It's 10 episodes this season, so we've dialed it back from last season. So 10 tight, fresh, and spicy episodes for you guys. And yeah, a quick word from our sponsors, which is Camp Misfit. So season 3 sees for us like an exclusive launch of merch. So we've got exclusive merch like this for Misfits who want to rep the brand. And we have launched pro services for Industry Misfits that want to use a podcast to build their brand. So we've got 2 types of Misfits that are sort of following us on this journey. We've got the casual Misfits for merchant resources, and we've got the Industry Misfits who, so how do we bring you all together? And so Brody and I came up with the concept of Camp Misfit. And so this is how it works. It's your holiday summer camp for wayward youth and all your misfit needs. So by becoming a member of Camp Misfit, like if you support us by building this channel, we'll support you. And so until January 31st, you know what? I'm going to do all of this over because it feels like such a fucking sell so quickly in the episode. So we didn't even talk about, I skipped ahead. We didn't even talk about the topic of today's episode and how and why. I'm sorry. Is it okay if we do a do-over?
No, the intro's good. I say we
intro
start
is good. The intro is
coming
good.
in at, let's
okay.
go ahead.
Thank you. 3, 2, 1. So season 3, for your edification, is a tight, spicy, and tasty 10 episodes. We've got guests all lined up. We can't wait to get into it. Today's episode's on popularity. Does it matter? We're going to get into that. B, do you have an overview of popularity? Were you popular? Are Misfits ever popular?
It's so annoying because I'm sure if you asked a select few people, they would be like, yeah, he was definitely popular. But at the same respect, like I knew everybody and was really close with no one.
Interesting. All right, we're going to get into it. But a quick word before we do is a quick word from our sponsor, who is Camp Misfit, ladies and gentlemen. So, look, season 3 is a big deal for us because not only is it our 3rd season here with you guys, but we've also, we've launched a merch line and a whole bunch of downloadable resources for misfits like you who want to start their own podcast. And we've also launched our professional services for industry folk that want to use a podcast to build their own brand. right? So we've got two types of misfits. We've got casual misfits who are here for the merch and the clothing and to be super cool. And we have industry misfits who want to be professionally different, right? And so we thought, how do we bring these two types of misfits together? And so Brody and I came up with Camp Misfit. So Camp Misfit is your holiday misfit summer camp for wayward youth and all your misfit needs. And by becoming a member of Camp Misfit, until January 31st of 2024, we're offering 15% off everything Misfit. So if you go to our website, which is promisfitspodcast.com, you'll find downloadable resources if you want to start your own podcast. You'll find merch and clothing. You'll find our pro services. And if you join Camp Misfit, it's a giant green banner on the homepage. Brody should probably check it out now because I don't think he's seen it yet because I built it into the website today. If you click that link that says, I want to go to camp, it will take you to camp and it will give you the breakdown of how all of this is going to work. B, what's your hot take as you watch this in real time?
Well, I'm going to it now. I'm curious what this is.
What did he do to the website while I wasn't looking?
Oh, get out of town. Okay. Okay. All right.
All right. So that's our pitch, guys. Because, as you know, we riff on the B-side.
Okay. You guys are going to want to just click the link. You don't have to do anything with it, but at least just click the link.
It'll definitely be in the link of this video. But, yes, this is a podcast, but like we said in season 2, we're equally transparent about the service and the business that we're building alongside this. And it is possible to do professionalism different. And that's our whole jam. So if this is your jam and you're listening, then hey, reach out.
And personally, that's why I love the camp. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like we're reinventing the wheel. We're not saying that you need to completely shatter all norms and expectations to be different, right? There's things you can do in any confines to separate yourself, and I think a lot of people have lost that, and that's why Camp Misfits is it's just cool. It's just cool. It's like the island of misfit toys.
All right. So now that's the pitch. Let's get into it. Popularity, Brody. What is it? Is it important? Shoot.
No, you know what? This is how last season went. We got into it, and it started with me every time. I'm putting you under the bus this time.
That's fair. I can take it.
What is, just like you said, what is popularity? And again, to echo that, is it actually of importance? Does it play an integral value into, let's say, society as a whole?
What an interesting question. Really deep and insightful. Look, what is it? Okay, I don't know. Like, a layman's definition is like popularity. I guess to be known by many people. It's a social construct, right? It's a social construct. Like, we're all social animals. Whether we like it or not, hierarchies will form. Put more than 2 people in a room, that's what's going to happen. So popularity, I suppose, is, and I'm going to draw a distinction here, like of whether you're known by people or a group of people or society. Because you could say Brad Pitt is known, but I don't know him. And like, I don't know if popularity necessarily comes with always positive connotations, because arguably I was popular in high school, but that also led me to getting into a ton of fucking fights, right? So I was known, and there was a certain reputation about that. But because I was known, you then become a target. Do you know what I mean? So we'll probably get into this later. Like, what's the distinction between popularity and respect, and which would you rather? Perhaps. But look, does it matter? Does it matter? I'm going to. Misfit me wants to say no, not really. Bit more pragmatic and maybe optimistic me says it is beneficial, personally, and socially, it's beneficial to be liked and respected, and these things, and to be, if you're known to a community or friends or people in the society, then that's more often of a benefit. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
To
I
be
do. Yeah.
popular in that way, like to be because what comes with that is like you'll be treated kindly, you'll be received well, all of these social things, and professionally, again, like it can't really hurt, to have a well-known popular brand, right? Or to be a well-known popular brand. So that's my overview. That's my overview for now. But like, how does that sit with you?
I mean, pretty similar. So in high school, I'd say again, I was friends with everybody and kind of really actually known by none. So it was like it came with its own kind of set of benefits and quirks, being
Yeah,
the mystery guy, I guess, most of
yeah,
the
yeah.
time. And we've spoken about this. I dropped out in sophomore year, so I wasn't in school. So it wasn't, they didn't even have that time with me or that perspective of who I was come high school. So it was like a weird gig for me where it was like, I did see in the cliques and crowds that were popular per se some of the benefits, right? Like you were hanging out with the older kids and like you had access to things that maybe somebody that wasn't friends with everybody didn't. And it's funny how that translates into being popular, or in my mind, well networked as you're older, right? Like
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
how many people do you know?
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
And even more so, what are those people doing, right? Like it really depends on that kind of dynamic as you get older, less so than it did when you're a kid, but it still mattered. Think about it. The
Mm.
ones that were popular were the ones doing a ton of sports. The ones that were popular were the ones in front of the school all the time. The ones that were popular were known because they were there, like that.
Yeah.
That's what that they presented themselves that way. So it's funny because it raises the question to me: is there a benefit between or is there a difference between popularity and infamy? Like it
Yeah, yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah.
and if so, that difference, which is better and which is worse? Because for me, a lot of people would say infamy sounds negative, and that's how I would have viewed myself in high school, and kind of even low key the last couple years professionally, because
Mm-hmm,
I was the
mm-hmm,
guy behind the curtains, right? Like, and
mm-hmm.
people knew me and they knew of me, but they didn't really know, they didn't really know. And that was kind of by design and intention. But now that people are starting to get an inside look and I'm putting my face out there more and I'm getting a little bit of attention, I think the perspective is different. And I'm curious. I'm curious what people think. Is there a negative connotation to infamy? And again, which one's better and how different are they really?
Yeah, it is interesting. Look, my high school analogy with this is why I think popularity is an interesting topic. So when I say I was popular in high school, I'll qualify and say it was my last 2 years of high school, because for the most part in one town, I went to quite a large high school. There's about 1,200 students, and had a handful of friends. Had a handful of friends, but all the cool kids hung out in West Quad. So all the cool kids of every year hung out in West Quad, and so secretly, you want to be a West Quad kid, but you're not. So you stick to your little five friends, and you're like, fuck them and West Quad, think they're so good. And then my family moved to Newcastle. I did my final 2 years at Newcastle. And the funny thing was, the day I walked into my new school, it was instant popularity. As in, right, as in everybody knew my name. They knew who I was. They knew what bus I caught to and from school. So, and even at, I think, 15 or 16, I knew then, this is ridiculous. And I was voted house captain, school captain, sports captain. I was, basically bullied into dating the girl that would have been the cheerleader here. You know what I mean? Because that's the way you match um, uh, I can't even remember it, but you match Brad Pitt with Angelina Jolie. That's the way that it works, right? And so that was the sort of setup. And even then, I knew this was ridiculous and completely hollow because I've been here 5 minutes. There's kids that have been here for 6 years. This is absurd, right? So my take, and to quote, this is well before social media, so you can see where I'm going with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my impression then of what popularity is or how it's achieved is random luck, based on nothing of substance, all this sort of shit. It's funny because if I was maybe not so insecure or maybe a little bit smarter, I should have just lent into it. I'm just going like, fuck yeah, I'm the house captain. Fuck yeah, I'll date anyone. Fuck yeah, like I'll be that guy. And it's like, look, I got voted in as all these things, but I'm like, no, not super comfortable. But I didn't date a cheerleader because I was too proud. I'm like, I'm not going to be a prize for anyone. So, and then of course, you leave high school and all of this means nothing, right? So, and this is normally our first taste of what popularity is, its influence, because school is a social environment, and sort of what you were mentioning as well is with popularity we infer they get the girl, they get the guys, they get all the money, they get the success, they get the jobs, they get the we infer a lot of benefits that comes with just being known. And I wonder how true this is as well, because we all know, like, if any misfits got a head on their shoulders, we know that high school popularity doesn't last, and if that's where you peaked, then I feel sorry for you. And there is a world outside of that you're going to have to exist in, So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Look, the thing is, it's interesting because I do see the direction you're taking this, and with me, I'll fall back on kind of being that kid in the background, but knowing everybody, like it's true. As things come, you take your benefits and you take your losses in that too. And for me, a big loss in the way that I presented myself and being close to, or around every crowd, was, again, I wasn't actually close to anyone specifically. I had one very, very close friend in high school, and then maybe two or three that were like a grade above that. We just were close, but I feel like I lost a lot of the social opportunities. I think that you're talking about too, where it's like lean into it and just go after it. But it's strange. I feel like if I would have, I don't know how long I would have been stuck in that perspective that those things did matter, right? Because I think there's a lot of people that leave high school and they're like, that is where they peak. They don't know that yet, and they take 2 to fucking 5 years really fucking coming
well,
back from that. And I'm glad I didn't have to do that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
But let's draw the most obvious parallel. Like, isn't this the TikTok influencer of today? Isn't that, isn't that any influencer of today? It's like, I'm chasing stats. I'm chasing likes. I'm chasing engagement. I'm chasing followers. To go viral is the equivalent of like being uber popular for a minute. Your 15 seconds of fame.
yeah, it's interesting. So, do we want to go down the social media route? Because
I think we have to touch on it. Like, we can't ignore it, and it's probably an episode into itself. But surely everyone can identify the same behavior of, and it's worse as an influencer, because it's the sort of escalating escalating criteria. It's like you have to keep one-upping the next person to do something more outrageous, to get known, to stay on top, to chase clout. You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's two. Well, yes, but I think in now more definitively than ever, there's like kind of more two avenues of popularity, right? And
Mm,
that is the people that kind of can stay in tune with the trends and the popularity contest itself, right? But then there's others that kind of are breaking those norms where it's like I'm chasing statistics and engagement. And I'd like to say we're an example of that, right? Like I don't necessarily give a shit how many people listen. I know that these conversations are important and what I'm
mm,
doing is impactful. So it's really hard to veer me away from it with the pursuit of those kind of hollow metrics and things
mm,
like that. I think there's a lot more people like that coming about. And more so, even people maybe that were stuck in that kind of little popularity race that are realizing, oh shit, they weren't necessarily here because I was fucking with the trends and I was doing those dumbass dances. They like me. They like
mm,
me for who I am. And if I show up more authentically as myself, I get more and more, and the engagement's natural and it's real. So
mm,
it's strange because, again, falling back to high school, I think one of the things that a lot of people don't like to admit is you're still learning yourself. So you don't know who the fuck you are. You're presenting yourself differently every day of the week. It does not fucking matter if you did have a strong set of principles or guidelines that you were following, you were still discovering more and more so quickly. And consciousness is funny at that time in life, right? So you don't know who the fuck you are, like
mm,
just plain and simple. So you're taking on masks. And I think, again, that's another shitty thing about high school that a lot of people tend to carry on into adulthood is there's this mask that I have to present to maintain that popularity, to maintain that viewpoint in my societal structure right now, whether that's school, work, college, blah, blah, blah. And in my mind, it's a fallacy, right? Like to some degree, it's like show up and as your best, wear your best suit. Like I'm not against those principles, and I do think it has a change in the way that people perceive you. But I also
mm.
think, again, moving authentically is the best way to be perceived, and if you can do that in a natural way, that's the thing, in a natural way that. That's going to be the new popular, right? And I think even then, you look back again, high school, college, even some of the experience we have as adults working, some of the people that you gravitated towards the most kind of just had it figured out, right? And that in my mind was them really without intentionally just being who they were, right?
Mm.
And we want to gravitate towards that. We want to because again, I think we're all seeking permission. Can I be popular? Is it for me? Is it achievable? Is it something, that can I be liked? Can I be liked?
Well, that's the underpinning, social drive, isn't it? Is that if I'm,
Totally, absolutely.
to be, if I am popular, then I am liked by many, and basically I'm safe. Like I'm safe within this community, and I have social sway and leverage. You know, at the moment, yeah, I can walk around the hood and probably get free coffees from 3 or 4 places in the hood, which is just it's just nice. Now, am I popular? I don't know. Am I? I'd like to think I'm more respected, but it comes with just saying please and thank you over
Hmm. Hmm.
an amount of time, and then you get to be likable, and they get to know you, and you know, and that's as simple as it's been, really. Common courtesy goes a long way, but it's what was my point here? Yeah, the social acceptance, and I guess if you're all misfits that are listening, then we'd understand that we're not always going to have complete social acceptance everywhere. And like Brody was saying, if part of a human's journey is to authentically figure out who I am, what do I want, who do I want to be with, where am I going, what do I want to do. These drives are going to push us to the fringes of what our social crowd or popular kids would accept or think is normal. And then, are we going to break this contract? Are we going to step outside this circle? And sort of the subplot for this whole season is, how do we be a better misfit? You know, so if you are popular, no, not even that's not even the direction I want to go. It's also the recognition, I think, that you can be, because it's a social construct, you can be popular in one place and not so popular somewhere else.
Yeah,
At,
absolutely.
at the same time, like, you can go to work and probably be, a bit of a mid-tier no one and cool, and then go to whatever social club and be the man or the girl, and rock that. And that's fine. It doesn't have to be this universal blanket of like, got to be the boss bitch everywhere I go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and that's kind of where I was going with it. I think I think understanding I mean growth in general, you come to realize that the concept of popularity is going to change for you as well. And it's like you said it really well just a second ago. For me now as an adult, it's like I'd rather truly and honestly be maybe known, right? But also, more importantly than that, respected within the group that I am known, right? And that's people.
So, all right. So there's a question. Here's the question. Here's the question then for you, and here's other question for the misfits at home. Which would you rather? Yeah, like to be popular and take that as far as you want, and all the benefits that come with it, right? Money, relationships, the applause, everything, and or respected. It's an either or. You don't get both. So
Oh, that's fucked. So like
yeah,
in that supreme popularity, I'm not respected.
correct.
Yeah, I'd rather be respected. And
Right.
I know, and there's an instinct in me that says I'm that's dumb. You're dumb because you could take
Well,
again all the benefits from the
yeah,
popularity.
man.
But to
It's
me, again, like it's even within that, I
frequent flyer
and
miles.
you're going you can have one or the other. But even in the that dynamic, I think that realm of respected that I could encapsulate myself in, I'd have just as many benefits, if not more, than the person that's popular.
Okay, then describe those. Like, if you chose to be respected, then what's the payoff for you? Like, what's the benefit?
Dignity and pride. And the reason that I say that is because immediately going to imagining never being respected or taken seriously again. Never, never. I got money. I've got all this.
You got everything.
That that right there is what I imagine is the fucking nightmare of anyone that reaches that level of popularity or success and then realizes, oh shit, this is built off a fucking pillar of fucking garbage and everyone thinks I'm a fucking idiot human being. This sucks. This
What do
fucking
you
sucks.
to
This
take?
sucks. I'm sorry.
I,
It was,
I hear
it
you. I
would,
hear you.
I,
I hear you. And okay, but to take this analogy, a half step further, do you think if when you're ultra popular and you've got all the things and you can do whatever you want, do you think you'd care? Do you think you'd care that you weren't respected? Because you could go, man, I can walk
I do,
in.
because
Okay.
the way that the way that you framed it is it's zero respect. So I'm imagining that even in my closest circles, I'm imagining that with family, I'm imagining
Yep.
that with my
Yeah.
kids,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and again, no matter what I'm able to provide for them in a monetary sense, if at the end of the day there's just, dude, there's something about it, man. When you're rocking the right way and someone looks at you with respect, it's more than fucking money. It's more than it's it's worth everything that you could imagine. And again, I think a big piece of where I'm driving this from comes from my kids. I could not imagine being a joke to my kids and them just we get to go on vacation. Like he's all right. He's all right. You know, like
Yeah.
he's you know, like that would that would kill me. That would
Right.
no, not worth any amount of no. So how about you? How about you, sir? I mean, because you made it sound very distinctly that it would just instantly be, and like
Problem
I said,
solved. Yeah, yeah.
right, and there's a piece of me that goes like again, and it's funny because I feel like framing this, you could say the opposite, where it's like I would achieve respect in some way, even without the, and that's us being misfits, though. It's like
It is like, and it's. I know it's a ridiculous example, but it's. I guess it's to probe. It's to probe
mm-hmm,
on what this actually means to us. So to answer, look, I think going back to my high school analogy, I learned something important there, and I learned that popularity is fluid. It's fluid and it's awfully fleeting, and it's not always something that you can control, right? Whether someone bestows it upon you or takes it away from you, right? And normally it's the masses, and you have no control over that. Whereas respect, respect is something that you can cultivate. I feel, and I feel it's something that's more stable and much more long lasting and credible than the shiny attraction and the neon lights that is popularity. And I'd also reason this is that you can be disliked by somebody and still be respected by them, whereas you cannot be disliked and be popular. So no doubt you all work with someone. You go, look, I can't really give them the time of day, but they're like, fuck, they're good at their job, or they stood up for this, or they have a belief and whatever. So there's some consistency in that, and I would like to believe, and ask me in 10 years whether it's actually true, that by maintaining this ethic of respect, it will serve you better and longer, and you're not likely to come to that crushing personal conclusion of, I've been chasing other things my entire life, like who the fuck am I now? Like respect, cultivating respect for yourself and for other people, and because again it's a codependent dynamic.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
um that's I think that serves. I think that's a stronger currency. I think that's a more robust currency than just popularity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
no,
feel.
I I agree. I agree, and it's interesting because of the way that this is framed. One of my questions was, what are the impacts of popularity on one's mental health, positive or negative, right? And
Right.
it's kind of the same thing with this question framed, like, and that was my perspective. If I had to live without respect, my mental health would be shit. It would be absolute shit. And I know it. I know it. I
Mm.
know it. Even with all the money, even with the travel, because you'd reach that point where all of that's been experienced, and you're just waiting for that touch of respect, that
Mm.
touch of something more, something deeper than just the topical experience, and I think that's through human connection. So yeah, what are the effects of popularity on mental health, good or bad? And I think both of us can speak on this coming from situations where we have and haven't been popular, and I'm curious.
Yeah. 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 Okay. I'm really quickly cycling through things. So I guess I won't relive high school again because we've talked about that. But okay. The Kung Fu School is a good example. Like
Hmm.
I was both liked and respected because I was like the prince of the school and running things. So for those who don't know this story, go back and cycle through some of the episodes in season 2. But basically, I was running a kung fu school for about 2 years for my master. So I was the senior student and living on site. So with that, and that was also respect like around town because we trained all.
I was going to say, I think anybody that doesn't know, like once you're in that fighting, or even just like a step above general wellness, I think you get into athleticism. There is just kind of an inert like level of respect that seems to follow that momentum. So like, it's
the right kind of. Anyway, and because the other thing as well, like we trained pretty much like half the security guards around Newcastle. So it was a cool feeling to be in your 20s and to know that you could walk anywhere you want, any time of day, with any girl or friends or whatever, and no one was ever gonna fucking hassle you. You know, like because you knew enough people, like cool. And then you move out of your hometown and no one knows you. You know, and so you've got to start, and so you've got to start all over again. And so that's, I think, okay. There's something that's worth addressing, I guess, is if you are popular in a crowd, or if you are respected within a certain community, and then you lose it for whatever reason. So you go from 100 to 0. That's brutal. I can testify to that. That is absolutely fucking brutal, and you question your soul and role in the universe. I guess I'll lean on my earlier example of which would you rather, popularity or respect. Then trying to pick up the pieces to rush to become popular somewhere else for something else is fucking toxic and destructive. Whereas when we're all at rock bottom, and I'm sure every single one of us has been there, like when you're at, I got a great line, like rock bottom, it's uncomfortable, but it's a solid foundation. Right? So you can build from there, and you can build respect from that. And often a hallmark of people whom we do really respect are those who have been through this trial, that have losing everything, rebuilding into something more. Wanted to go left, lost everything, had to go right, overcame and all those sorts of things. So, and that's a respectable journey and a respectable ethic. In terms of, to answer your actual question of like, what are the consequences on mental health for popularity at the very least? I don't know. Like I know what it's like. I guess I know what it's like to be unpopular and have no friends, and that's different to being disliked.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Right. I suppose I'm
invisible as opposed to disliked is a whole different feeling in and of itself.
Right. And I'm a hardcore introvert, so I can handle 2 or 3 close friends and I'm happy. But ironically love the applause. So put me on stage with an audience of 500 and great. And then I'll step off and just like want one special person to be there. I'm not going to the after party,
And look, this is at some point in the conversation, I was hoping we'd go here. I would argue that is any human being. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're an introvert. I don't care if you're solitary. I think in maybe not in so much the way that it's framed as like, I think when someone says applause, you're looking for the admiration. I think in my mind, with that basic human sentiment, it's validation, right? It is that I want to know that I'm not invisible. And again, I don't think that necessarily needs to mean to many, right? But we all at some point in our existence want to be validated that we existed for a fucking reason, right? Right?
That perfectly sort of segues into this tiny little bit of research I did before we started here. So basically looked up like, is popularity good or bad, basically.
I love that.
And and so the research from the articles that I read, consistently suggests that it's not the amount of it's not necessarily the amount of relationships that you have that is positive or negative in terms of popularity, whether it has an impact on you positively or negatively. You can have 5 relationships, you can have 500 relationships. What was the determining factor of like happiness or quality of life was the connection of those relationships. So arguably you could be popular to 5 million people and have 2 quality connections, and that could satisfy you. Equally, you could be popular to 5 people and have 5 quality connections, and that would be satisfying to you, right? So that's what the research indicates. And what briefly talking about high school, the research and that they and the research that they did. So for those once they reached to 25, it was the students in school that forged quality friendships, that like invested and chose quality friendships over chasing the popularity thing, like at 25 were like had a healthier mental state, were happier, were more stable, could form, functional relationships. So there's something in that for all of us. But and I guess then the shadow side to all of this is if you feel unpopular, what is really the deficit that you're acknowledging or you're sort of feeling within yourself? You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny because again, I hate to keep cycling back to high school, but when we're talking in like kind of a point of view that's introspective, it makes me question what I guess I was afraid of gaining from either side, because again, I didn't go one way or the other. I didn't shoot for popularity, and I didn't invest heavily into those strong connections, right? I was kind of just floating through my own universe, and like it I don't want to sound like an idiot, but like I just felt like I was becoming aware a lot faster than the people around me, and it was lonely. I was in a different
Yeah.
place and a
Yeah.
different time at that period of my life. And again, now looking back, I'm like, holy shit. I wish I would have done even one or the other, because I'll be honest with you, Chris, and I don't give a shit how douchey this sounds. I would have fucking killed either one. I would have had some of the most solid, best core of networked friends, or I would have had as much popularity as I'd wanted. I read the room. I knew the rooms,
Yeah.
like I had that as a kid, and I just didn't, so it's, I just, I think you lose something either way.
Well, maybe, and arguably, there's a demographic of misfits out there that doesn't care either. And like, but listening to you, like I can't, yeah, I'm like I don't know. Like, yeah, I'd like some more friends sometimes. Yeah, I'd like a girlfriend sometimes, but like I don't care. Again, like I would like to respect myself, and so then would like to respect others, and that seems to be paying off. And it's funny as well. I have a weird social blind spot where I don't think I'd realize if I was popular or not anyway. You know, because it's kind of like
Because of the self-critic.
Oh, I don't know. I honestly don't know, or even just insecurity or like whatever else. Whatever. But I'd even have girlfriends or other friends swear that such and such was hitting on you or whatever else, and like I said please and thank you, and she smiled. That's not. She's like, you don't see it.
Oh, there's an episode, and we got social media clips. He went to Paris and his first night in Paris. So
I saw that today, motherfucker. But but again, even if like a million billion people did like me or whatever, I guess my instinct was like, yeah, but it's I don't know you.
Well, I think that comes from your very first statement in this episode, that you kind of from the jump realized that for you, popularity isn't of substance, right? There's not a ton of things in your mind or view, and this is just talking outside in, that again, it doesn't have value. I know it's fleeting, and it's luck of the it's the luck of the draw
So
kind of thing. I feel
now
like
here's the qualifier. Here's the qualifier, and I probably got to. This is a nice place to sort of start a teaser to wrap up with. See, if you, I don't know, if like high school popularity or any of that sort of shit, yeah, I don't really care. But if you read my book, or if you listened to the pod and then said to me like, "Hey, listen to this. This is really interesting," I'd be like, "Oh, really? Like, tell me more. Like, what else did you like? What else did you think was interesting?" You know what I mean? So like, I personally want to be, and this is the thing, like it's a fine line between respected/popular respected for shit that I've done, like for achievement. You know what I mean? I want to do a thing, be recognized by doing the thing, and not just recognized by 5 people, but recognized by 5 million people as you're the guy that did the thing. I'm like, yeah, I am. So
well, you don't want to just do a thing. You want to do something great. And again, well, really, I mean, there's a difference. Hey, there's a difference because look, some people just want to run a 5K.
Yeah, I wish I could.
You know what?
5K,
that's not gonna fuck it. You're not gonna be the most popular person in the world because you ran a 5K. Some people want to run a marathon. Some people want to fast for 3 days. Some people want to go to Disneyland. These things, like in conjuncture of what you're talking about, for what makes that person popular or fulfilled, like that's where it's leading for me. And again, if you're trying to achieve something greater, the impact that you're looking to leave is greater. I'm not just trying to impact one person. I'm trying to impact the masses, right? So again, I need to be recognized by the masses.
Yeah, that's the dream. And to be fair, it still falls in line with what I was talking about earlier. Like I produce work. Like I wrote a book that, and invested into it and did the work because I wanted to create something substantial that would last as a respected critical piece of work, rather than here's top 10 tips on how to succeed on social media, which, we all know would sell for fucking 5 million copies. But then to write a book on, creative skills that defies common psychology and science and corporate practice is an incredibly small niche and island to build for myself. But fuck you, I built my own island and I'll live here. And again, I guess it's a completely different mindset to what's hot this week. We need to, I think, we need to follow that crowd. There's a saying, actually, just to wrap up, that there was a French philosopher once in the times, I think, of the Revolution, and he was standing in the streets and watched like the masses like run by him in a fury, and he sees them running and he goes, "There goes my audience. If only I knew what they were running to." You know what I mean? So, food for thought. Food for thought. My final question, Brody, is: do you want the Misfits to be popular or respected?
Look again. I'm gonna fall back on the impact. We're trying to do something a little bit greater here. So respect is more important. And it's funny too, because the thing that, at least what I'm getting from you guys and the conversations we have in the comments on YouTube and TikTok and things like that, is that you guys do respect me and Chris's ability to remain authentic and have these conversations, and it oftentimes have opposing views while still being able to communicate. That's something too that I think we're trying to give the world permission into. This is where directly across the world, right? Like we're across the world, we're going through things that are taboo or charged, however you want to frame it, and we're doing it. So the popularity would be incredible. And the thing is, because I know what we're doing is something to be respected. It's weird to say that out loud. It's weird to say it because we are doing something that is to be respected. I know the popularity will come. So that's what it is for me. Now, how about you, sir? Because that was a devilish question.
It was, and unfortunately, we're out of time, Brody, so we'll have to order it. Nice, nice beads, by the way. Okay, so what do you think, Misfits?
Oh God,
would you rather be? Would you rather be popular or respected?
why?
Have that conversation at home while Brody fumbles with his headphones and a beaded necklace. And just remember that only popular kids get into Camp Misfit. Now, season 3, episode 2. Brody, do you know what's coming up next? It's a whole new season, ladies and gentlemen, but take a drink every time Brody does not know what the next episode is.
I revisited our show notes for this episode, so it's just out the window.
That's okay, man.
That's what intentional focus is, folks.
I respect that. So, episode 2 is on creativity, funnily enough, and we're going to ask the question: is everyone creative? Too long didn't read? No. Come to my TED Talk. Anyway, we can do that discussion coming up next. Brody, do you have any hot takes or anything you're looking forward to for episode 2, talking about creativity and why it matters?
I'm just excited to throw you under the bus constantly for an entire episode.
I'm going to be standing on all the soapboxes. This is going to be, bring some water, Misfits. This one's going to be spicy. But in the meantime, you can find us on all the channels. You can listen for free and watch us build on Spotify and YouTube. Go to promisfitspodcast.com to join Camp Misfit and find all our merch and other things. In the meantime, I've been Chris.
I've been Brody.
And you're popular, Misfits. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. We'll see you on the next one. Stay classy.